Dear beloved Creator of all that is, we come together by your grace and our free will intention to move creation from an insidious descent into darkness by evildoers to a more goodly, godly direction. We come together by your grace in our earnest efforts to assist in the defeat of our enslavement and the destruction of our sacred planetary garden. It is all divine magic that you have given us the tools, so we, as trusting innocents, can employ our God-given creativity with your guidelines, these being the principles of God's law. A quote from Chief Seattle says, "Man does not weave this web of life. He is merely a strand of it. Whatever he does to the web, he does to himself. Take only memories and leave nothing but footprints. All things share the same breath. The beast, the tree, the man, the air shares its spirit with all the life it supports. We are humbled by your grace, and so it is."
Hello, my name's Ron Vroman. I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. Good evening to you. I wanted to make a recording for a Regimental Commander. I'm soliciting for a man qualified enough to raise a regiment. I was reading a book today. I'm the 12th generation Vroman on America. I hope that turns out good. I got skin in the game. That book right there and this book right here. This is that's my Blue Jackets manual. I got that in 1956, October 1956. I still have the book. I have not kept a whole lot of things going through, but I've kept those two books. I also have a very old, very thick, very heavy Webster Dictionary, an encyclopedia of the English language, and Black's Law. And looking through those books, it is obvious we need a man strong enough to raise a regiment on Oregon. You go back and you read the old papers, 1848, and you talk to Bobby Graves about Oregon when it was Oregon, the territory that had submitted its paperwork to the United States of Washington District of Columbia to be accepted within the Confederation and Perpetual Union of the United States of America. And they were 1859. Original jurisdiction. So now we have to look at original jurisdiction from the provenance of a sovereign man or woman on the land and soil without ruler or subject. That's a mindset. There are so many people that cannot achieve that mindset. It's ridiculous. It's like people that are colorblind and can't see the difference between red and green. How do you deal with something like that? You can't. It's one of those facts that you have to deal with. Deal with it. That's what we're doing. So during the Revolutionary War, I had two Vromans, a father and a son, that I am direct descendant of, fight in that war for New York. I'm not sure that they would have fought for Georgia or South Carolina, but they sure as hell fought for New York. They were Dutchmen. And they had been here since 1664. So they were not newcomers in 1776. We're looking at original jurisdiction on this earth, third rock from the sun. This group of people on this earth, whether it's flat or round or hollow, doesn't make any difference at all. And whether Q is true or not Q, none of that makes any difference. What reality is, there are men and women with their children, with their bona fides on order, in order, properly done, attested to by other men and women. No anonymous here, all identified. That group formed a social compact. That social compact has been an honored place since 1776. It's given to those people that have honor and honor the laws of nature and nature's God from the very beginning. That bunch. I'm part of that bunch. So, right now on Washington County, Oregon, going into conflict with the Oregon Judicial Department, Washington County Circuit Court, 150 North 1st Avenue, Hillsboro, Oregon. That bunch, they sent me a document. As you can see, there's no watermark, there's no seal, there's no signature. It's not stamped. I have a piece of paper mailed to a wrong address. It was mailed to the all cap version of my name at an address that is not my address. My address has been known for the last 8 or 10 years, somewhere in there, as general delivery, Beaverton, Oregon, 97005 in brackets. So I get this alleged document mailed to a wrong address, opened by somebody else, and then given to me, excusing themselves for the accident of opening my mail that was addressed to a different entity at an address that's not mine. All former past information. But I have the document. Now I have to follow through with the document. This leads me to believe that we need a regiment on Oregon. That's starters. And then I'm reading in the Vroman book, a guy in New York raised a regiment. That's a daunting task to raise a regiment and equip them and provide them ready for battle. Whew. So I thought, well, we're the provisional government on Oregon, and we are the Second Amendment well-regulated militia. All of that is signed, sealed, stamped, witnessed, proof of service, and published at www.orsja.org. That bunch. I'm party to that bunch. What we have is a provisional government on Oregon. What we have not is sufficient authority. And all power comes from the barrel of a gun. That's just how it is. Used to be a bow and arrow and a spear and a rock, but it's a gun, whatever the size. But that's only where the brute force of even ignorance can come from. So we need a regiment, a righteous regiment, like they raised in New York for the revolution. I am a son of the American Revolution. My oldest daughter, deceased now, she took the shot, and then she had problems, and she had blood clots, and they destroyed her leg, and then she died from a heart attack. My oldest daughter, I have such a dislike for Big Pharma, for the WHO, for the UN, for anything past my Washington County Sheriff. I don't need anything past that. I'll take care of anything less than that. So, we need a regimental commander, a man with the charisma, the money, or knows people that'll give him money to equip and field a regiment. A guy in New York did it. And my great, 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 whoever grandfather and his son or his dad, the two of them fought in that, and they didn't fight in that to have it wind up be a de facto color of law incorporated bullshit trip. No way. So, as I have been doing videos for recruitment, I used to be a recruiter. I really did. I would get up very early in the morning in Portland, Oregon, and drive to work and start at 8 o'clock on the East Coast and talk with construction and engineering people and firms all the way across the continent until we arrived at 5 o'clock on the West Coast. And then I went home. But recruiting for specific positions, that's a difficult job. To put that whole thing together was fun. I liked the work. It was good. The pay was also good. The people, not so much. You were dealing with the admiralty part of equity instead of the common law part of equity. But it was a it was a venue and a law firm. We all understood it and we worked within it, building major highways and bridges and tunnels and dams and all of that major stuff. I recruited in that industry successfully. But it's more than just that industry. It turns out it's joint ventures within that industry, people that get along and can put things together and make it work, the chemistry, the point of view, the reference you're coming from. Some people do it really well, others not so much. But they're the project managers and the estimators of the major projects in civil engineering, dirt works. So that's what we're recruiting for. A regimental commander for Oregon. Whoever it may be, the one that we want does not want the job. He would rather somebody else do that, not him. That's the guy we want. And it's not a woman. He's got to be far out on the edges of the bell curve on several different hierarchies that he's not even aware of. So that guy needs to raise a regiment on Oregon. I don't know who he is. I don't even care. I'd love to meet him. I'd love to talk to him. But we need to raise a regiment on Oregon. There is no opposition on Oregon. Oregon and Delaware do not have forts or ports or military installations on our land and soil. I don't know why. I'd love to know why Oregon and Delaware don't have out of the 33 states and 17 territories. But that's who we're looking for today. The recruitment video is for the regimental commander for Oregon, the state among the several states, the 33rd state and final state of the United States of America. Words, how they're used, and how they're printed, upper and lower case, makes a great deal of difference. And I yield.
Article 1, Section 1 of Oregon's Constitution, Natural Rights Ex parte Milligan, 71 U.S. all men, when they form a social compact, 1866, was a landmark decision of the U.S. Supreme Court that ruled the application of military tribunals to citizens when civilian courts are still operating as unconstitutional. In this particular case, the court was unwilling to give President Abraham Lincoln's administration the power of military commission jurisdiction, part of the administration's controversial plan to deal with Union dissenters during the American Civil War. Justice David Davis, who delivered the majority opinion, stated that martial rule can never exist when the courts are open, and confined martial law to areas of military operations where war really prevails, and when it was a necessity to provide a substitute for a civil authority that had been overthrown. Chief Justice Salmon P. Chase and 3 associate justices filed a separate opinion concurring with the majority in the judgment, but asserted that Congress had the power to authorize a military commission, although it had not done so in Milligan's case. The landmark case stemmed from a trial by a military commission of Lambden P. Milligan, for whom the case is named, Stephen Horsey, William A. Bowles, and Andrew Humphreys, that convened at Indianapolis on October 21, 1864. The charges against the men included, among others, conspiracy against the U.S. government, offering aid and comfort to the Confederates, and inciting rebellion. On December 10, 1864, Milligan, Bowles, and Horsey were found guilty on all charges and sentenced to hang. Humphreys was found guilty and sentenced to hard labor for the remainder of the war. The sentence for Humphreys was later modified, allowing his release. President Andrew Johnson commuted the sentences for Milligan, Bowles, and Horsey to life imprisonment. On May 10, 1865, Milligan's legal counsel filed a petition in the Circuit Court of the United States for the District of Indiana at Indianapolis for a writ of habeas corpus, which called for a justification of Milligan's arrest. A similar petition was filed on behalf of Bowles and Horsey. The two judges who reviewed Milligan's petition disagreed about the issue of whether the U.S. Constitution prohibited civilians from being tried by a military commission and passed the case to the U.S. Supreme Court. The case was argued before the court on March 5th and March 13th, 1866. Its decision was handed down on April 3rd, 1866. Prepared by Francis Lieber, promulgated as General Orders No. 100 by President Lincoln, 24th of April, 1863. Instructions for the Government of Armies of the United States in the Field, prepared by Francis Lieber, LLD, originally issued as General Orders No. 100, Adjutant General's Office, 1863, Washington, 1898, Government Printing Office. Article 1, Section 1 of Oregon's Constitution, Natural Rights Inherent in People. We declare that all men, when they form a social compact, are equal in right, that all power is inherent in the people, and all free governments are founded on their authority and instituted for their peace, safety, and happiness, and they have at all times a right to alter, reform, or abolish the government in such manner as they may think proper. This is taken from oregonlaws.org.
They do not want to let go of this. They do not intend on losing here. And we do not intend giving it back to them.
And then the bullets started flying. Then he jumps out of the car, and he's got both his hands up. And he got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, "Just shoot me then. This is what you want, just shoot me." And they did. They shot him dead. With his hands in the air, and I saw it. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air. And they shot him. And they shot him dead, and then after he was down on the ground, they shot him 3 more times.